Here's my Auntie Melissa's place. That's where I'm gonna be staying for the week. This whole place is sort of entrapped in a valley. It's called the Bulkley Valley, and I have the mountains right there, and we're just gonna be going down to the river. I'm gonna be going to the Skeena. It's a river that in downtown it meets with the Bulkley and meets in, and that's where the whole town is, and the hall and all of that. And it's also negative 25 degrees out. Hands are freezing, and this is probably really bad for my camera, but you know, it's good. It's all good. It's great. I also had my aunt's dog with me, Bones. I just had her a minute ago, but I don't know where she is. So if I freeze to death, I don't have anyone to save me. But you know, I guess with these things, that's kind of the point. It brings authenticity, or whatever. Might give like an intro to yourself, and overview who you are.
Well, my name's Roy Henry Vickers. I'm from a little village called Kitkatla, about 200 miles down the road from here, down the bottom of the Skeena River. I'm Heiltsuk, Tsimshian, Haida, and English, with a little Iberian thrown in there. And I've been an professional artist for 43 years. And it's been quite a run.
Well, my name is Laurel. My mother gave me the name Laurel Louise Smith Wilson. And I was born in Hazelton 67 years ago.
Before this whole place and having all this art around here and doing your stuff, what was it like as a kid?
As a kid, wow. It was trauma. I was born in the old ways without a hospital, with a midwife on a reservation called Lakotsa. Today people know it as Greenville. And in those days there was no electricity, there were very few power boats, and we lived in a village called Kitkatla, and it was about 8 hours by boat from Kitkatla to Prince Rupert. So my early years were all totally about community, about living on the ocean, just isolated from everywhere, but you don't notice it because you're surrounded by hundreds of people in the village. Everybody's grandpa and grandma. You refer to everybody as grandpa or grandma if they were old people. My mom was a school teacher, dad was a fisherman. So I grew up on boats. I learned to navigate from Prince Rupert to Kitkatla when I was 6, 7 years old. So there are a lot of things about the natural world that I grew up with and integrated at a very young age. When I was 9 years old, my family moved from the village to this community of Hazelton. So it was like growing up real fast in that we went from no vehicles to riding in a vehicle from Prince Rupert to Hazelton. And living in this really cold place because there's a lot more snow here than the coast.
We had a beautiful life in Hazelton with my parents. I would say that it was simple, we were naive, we just went out and had fun daily. Of course we went to school, but it was a very simple life back then. And I don't think we realized until we became adults and started raising our own children, and we reflected back to our own childhood and thought, my gosh, we were so blessed. We just thought the whole world lived this simple, beautiful life under the mountain, which we call Stigilna. And the mighty Skeena River has flown past our home, and then we became young adults, and our mother encouraged us to see as much of the world as we could. So we started off by going away as teenagers, my sister and I, and we were educated in the city of Vancouver.
The river is a good example of the land that we live in. If we keep the river happy, then we keep the land healthy, and we keep ourselves healthy. And so to me, growing up and going from this tiny little community to this massive city with all these people running everywhere and doing everything, for a while there I lost the connection to the land, because a concrete jungle, you have to go a long way to find pristine parts of the country. Our culture is about the land. So the environment dictates our language and our culture. And everything that we do as natural humans is about our relationship to our Mother Earth. When our parents go, they become part of the earth. On one hand, you have this love of the environment and a fierce determination to protect it from people who are always after money, 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 money. So there's this, to me, the environment is what will always sustain us. And the large corporations are about making money. And they're about a whole pile of shareholders, but those shareholders don't know what a big corporation like the ones that have wanted to put a pipeline through this country, they don't know the damage that's done to the earth in the quest to continually extract resources from the earth to make money. Mm-hmm. The truth is that the environment will sustain us, nothing else. The truth we're told by the media is you need this and you need that and you need more money, and you need a nicer home, and you need a better insurance plan, and you've got to change the way you do things. You've got to get a computer. You have to. And the message behind it all is, this is what you need to be happy. Happiness, where it comes from, is inside us. And if I can be happy in a little cabin on the river in northern BC, that's wonderful, and I can. So to me, my expression in my art is about my connection to the world, but especially the land that we live on.
I think that coming here is kind of given me a good opportunity just to sit back and think about things. Like living where I live, it's good to get out and to get as much done as you can every day, but you lose those moments of just sitting back and like appreciating the things around you, and knowing that no matter how crappy your day might have been, it's good just to know that everything here, if we take good care of it, it'll always be here. And I've always just loved sitting back and admiring that. I think it makes the day a lot more worth it.
In our research, it became very clear why there were differences between the two people. In the Gitsan, they believed in the circle. If I spoke about creation, they understood that everlasting, inclusive flow of all life. They understood the length of a lifespan. And they believed that all within that circle of creation were equal, all life forms. And so they must live in a relationship where they were acceptable to other life forms. In our Western society, in which we are now a part of that Western society in many ways, they think of creation as a triangle with man at the top, so that the word resources is not your partner in creation, but a product to be used for the satisfaction of men. And it's this vital difference that makes the relationship difficult to bring into line with Western society. We believe that man has dominion over the fowl of the air and the fish of the deep, and that he has the privilege or the right to use, abuse other resources on the planet Earth, and I use the word resources as an English term, in any way that will benefit mankind. And I think that is the basic difference between the two philosophies of life, or we call it the fundamental truth.
came across discrimination for the first time in my life at 17 years of age, which is actually, it's worse today because it happens when you're 5 years old going to preschool. So in some ways, that discrimination for me, what it did was it made me try to understand who I was. So I introduced myself as Hilsuk, Haida, Simshan, and English with some Iberian thrown in there. So it was like when I came across discrimination, I couldn't understand what that was about. And I purposefully use the word discrimination, not racism, because I don't believe there's any other race of human beings but all of us who walk on 2 feet. So discrimination for me got me thinking about who I was and who were the Haida, who were the Simshans. And there were no books, nothing. So I had to go to a museum to find out about my people. That set up my whole journey. I'm still on that journey, still learning, still teaching. I didn't go to I went to residential school, but not the government religious institutions that were in place at the time. And I didn't go through the damage and the trauma that many children had to go through there. And it's exciting to see a young person like yourself and young people wanting to know more about what happened. And that's been my life as a teacher. So here I am, 17 years old in Victoria, and I learned from this white guy that all Indians live on welfare, they're lazy, and they're drunks. And it was shocking, first of all, to be looked upon as somebody other than the person that I was. And then I realized you never know what someone else is thinking, and it's arrogant to even presume that you might know what they're thinking. When someone can be looking at you and thinking you don't even belong on the face of the earth because your people are all lazy and they're drunks.
I never went to residential school, and nor did my parents. It's a really, really emotional topic, and it's finally being talked about. It's one of Canada's greatest embarrassments, and it was shameful, and it has to be talked about. And we still have a generation of people in my age group that experienced residential schools. There were thousands. In my community, a lot of my childhood friends went to residential school. And if I can recall, it would be around August, and the kids would be heading to the Hudson's Bay, maybe to buy new pajamas to take to residential school or a piece of clothing. And I was young, I didn't understand this at all. And I actually really didn't know where they were going. We simply knew they were going to school. And being so young, how would I know or even understand the impact of my little friends leaving parents? And actually it wasn't really talked about in our home or other homes I would go into. I realized that this was a really difficult time for kids to exit Hazelton and maybe not come back. I know there was a lot of pain and suffering. They must have been incredibly lonesome for their families. And I wouldn't know that personally because I stayed at home with my parents. But I saw hardships of young adults my age.
so what that discrimination did for me was drive me to find the truth. And what the truth revealed to me was that yes, I continually have to work on myself in my mind as I'm speaking to you even now, to monitor the truth that's coming through, and to realize that much of the inhibitions that I have been handed down to me by caregivers. And so my life is about accepting what has happened, loving the strength of spirit to overcome all negativity, loving the truth that is available to us. To me, that's truth is love, but it's light. Loving the truth that you can live your life as. And to me, what all of the negativity has done was push me to the light. So if you can think of the negative world as darkness and the world of light and where happiness is, it's almost like joy is yellow, it's not black. Pain is black. So as an artist, that's the way I think. When you speak, I see images. When I hear other people speak, I see images. When I'm out on the land, I see images, and the inspiration comes from everywhere. So at one point in my life, I had a choice. I can allow this to kill me as a young man, or I can rise above this, and in my coming to the truth, to be the truth. There's an old Basque saying, you are the center of your family, and what you say and do makes a difference to every member of the family. Your family is the center of your community, or your family is everything they do and say affects the community. Your community is the center of your country. What we do here makes a difference in Canada, and your country is the center of the world. So you can, as the center of the world, you can either continue to be negative and affect everybody with your negativity, or you can stand in the light of truth and love and be that person.
I can't emphasize enough really what a beautiful life I had as a child. Extremely loved by my parents, cherished by them. They were the best parents a child could have. I really believe that part of this came from their indigenous understanding of the importance of children. And it was quite simply love them, teach them by example. So if I got one perfect gift from my parents, it was the purest of love. And for that I'm grateful.
Truth is not a static thing. My truth is not your truth, and there are many reasons for that. The fact that you're male and I'm female puts a definition between us. Age difference puts a definition. So the truth is what you know. That is their definition of truth. Truth is what I know, because what I know is the only thing that I can swear to as truth. And they use this at all times for a very basic reason. Truth, you don't have to defend truth. If you vary from truth, if you tell a lie, you're constantly defending yourself. There's no reason to defend truth. So that truth was the basic ingredient of their philosophy.